Your expensive mosquito repellent is working against you. DEET spray wears off in 3 hours. Bug zappers only target one mosquito species, and research shows they actually attract 5 others. Meanwhile, mosquitoes feasting on your yard carry West Nile, Zika, and Eastern equine encephalitis. They breed in the puddle left by a leaky sprinkler, and they are getting worse every year as summers stretch longer. But 12 specific plants, grown in the right soil with the right sunlight, produce compounds mosquitoes actively avoid. Peer-reviewed research from Iowa State University, the United States Department of Agriculture, and multiple university extensions confirms what gardeners have known for a century. One of these plants tested 10 times stronger than DEET in a 2001 laboratory study. Another one appears on the Environmental Protection Agency Minimum Risk Pesticide Register. A third one, which nobody talks about, thrives in partial shade where every other repellent plant fails. Here are 12 mosquito-repelling plants ranked by scientific evidence and ease of growing. Starting at number 12. Number 12. Marigold. Botanical name Tagetes patula, commonly called French marigold. Recognizable by the bright orange and yellow rosette blooms that appear from late spring through the first frost. The mosquito-repelling effect comes from 2 compounds working together. Pyrethrum, a natural insecticide found in the flower heads, and thiophene, sulfur-containing compounds concentrated in the roots. The United States Department of Agriculture documents pyrethrum's insect-repelling activity against multiple mosquito species. Purdue University Extension lists marigold among companion plants used for pest reduction in vegetable gardens. The scent alone deters mosquitoes on contact. Adult female mosquitoes, which are the biting ones, use their antennae to detect carbon dioxide and lactic acid in human sweat. Pyrethrum disrupts this olfactory signal. Mosquitoes receive confused information and fly away rather than risk a blood meal. The effect is strongest within about 3 feet of the plant, weakening beyond that range. Plant marigold in full sun, at least 6 hours of direct light daily. Standard garden soil works fine, though good drainage helps. Space individual plants about 8 to 10 inches apart along patios, walkways, and outdoor seating areas. They grow well in containers, which is ideal for decks and balconies. Plant a perimeter ring around vegetable beds to protect tomatoes and peppers, which share pest pressure with humans. French marigold blooms continuously from June through October in most of the United States. Water at the base, not overhead, to prevent fungal disease on the leaves. The biggest mistake homeowners make is planting marigolds and walking away. The plant needs deadheading, meaning removing spent blooms, to keep flowering through late summer. Without deadheading, the plant goes to seed, and the pyrethrum concentration in fresh blooms drops significantly. Pro tip: for stronger repellent effect, gently crush a few leaves between the fingers before sitting outside. This releases the thiophenes held in the foliage. The scent disperses into the air within seconds and lasts about 20 minutes. Number 11. Sage. Botanical name Salvia officinalis, sometimes called common sage or garden sage. A woody perennial herb with silvery green leaves and a sharp earthy aroma that cooks recognize from poultry seasoning. Sage contains a compound called 1,8-cineol, also known as eucalyptol, along with camphor and thujone. Research published in the Journal of Natural Products identifies these compounds as active repellents against several mosquito species, including Aedes aegypti, the species that carries Zika and dengue. The compounds are concentrated in the oil glands on the underside of each leaf. Fresh sage releases more volatile repellent than dried sage. Mosquitoes avoid 1,8-cineol because it interferes with their chemical receptors, the same receptors they use to locate hosts. When exposed to the scent, female mosquitoes lose their ability to track carbon dioxide plumes. Without that navigation signal, they cannot find the patio, the porch, or the person sitting on it. Sage needs full sun and well-drained soil. It hates wet feet, so raised beds or sandy soil work better than heavy clay. Plant in spring after the last frost. spacing individual plants about 24 inches apart to allow air circulation. Sage grows as a perennial in USDA zones 4 through 8, meaning it returns year after year. In colder zones, treat it as an annual, or bring containers indoors for winter. For repellent effect, plant sage near high-traffic outdoor areas, along deck edges, beside grill stations, around fire pits. One mature sage bush covers a radius of about 4 feet with scent. Most people overwater sage. The plant evolved in Mediterranean hillsides where rain is rare and drainage is perfect. Soggy roots cause the woody stem to rot and the volatile oils to thin out. Water only when the top 2 inches of soil feel dry. Pro tip: for maximum repellent effect during outdoor gatherings, throw a few sage leaves onto hot grill coals or a fire pit. The smoke carries the compounds farther than the plant alone and clears mosquitoes from a larger area for about 30 minutes. Number 10. Peppermint. Botanical name Mentha piperita, a hybrid of watermint and spearmint. Identifiable by its square stems, pointed serrated leaves, and the unmistakable cool menthol scent released when any part of the plant is disturbed. Peppermint's active compound is menthol, along with smaller amounts of menthone and limonene. Iowa State University Extension lists peppermint among plants with documented mosquito repellent activity. The compounds are stored in oil glands on the leaves and stems, released when cells are crushed. The Environmental Protection Agency recognizes peppermint oil on its minimum risk pesticide register, meaning it is exempt from federal pesticide registration due to documented safety and efficacy. Menthol activates cold temperature receptors in mosquitoes and many other insects. The compound tricks the insect nervous system into registering the plant as a cold, hostile zone, unsuitable for landing. Beyond repelling adult mosquitoes, peppermint oil also kills mosquito larvae in standing water, making it useful around rain barrels and water features. Peppermint grows aggressively. Plant it only in containers or confined beds. Never loose in a garden, or it will take over in one season via underground runners. Full sun to part shade both work. Use standard potting soil and keep the soil evenly moist. Peppermint thrives in USDA zones 3 through 11, making it the most cold-tolerant plant on this list. Place containers near doorways, windows, and outdoor seating. For patio protection, position 3 1-gallon pots at the corners of a 12-foot square seating area. One sunny afternoon of 90-degree heat triggers heavy oil release from the foliage into the surrounding air. The most common mistake is planting peppermint directly in the ground. Within 18 months, it colonizes the bed and chokes out neighbors. The second mistake is harvesting too little. Peppermint responds to cutting by producing more foliage and more oil, so regular pruning actually strengthens the repellent effect. Pro tip: bruise a handful of peppermint leaves and place them into a small dish with a lit votive candle nearby. The warmth volatilizes the menthol into the air and provides coverage for about 45 minutes. Number 9. Rosemary. Botanical name Rosmarinus officinalis, now classified as Salvia rosmarinus in updated taxonomy. An evergreen woody herb with needle-shaped leaves and pale blue flowers, native to the Mediterranean coast. Rosemary contains 1,8-cineol, alpha-pinene, and camphor. These 3 compounds work together as a mosquito deterrent. Colorado State University Extension identifies rosemary among Mediterranean herbs with documented insect-repelling activity. The compounds are stored in highly concentrated oil glands along the entire needle, which explains why brushing against a rosemary bush releases the scent immediately. Crushed rosemary produces up to 10 times more volatile oil than undisturbed foliage. Alpha-pinene disrupts mosquito flight orientation. When inhaled by a female mosquito searching for a blood meal, it temporarily impairs her ability to maintain a straight flight path toward the host. Combined with cineol's effect on olfactory receptors, rosemary creates a scent barrier that redirects mosquito flight paths around the plant rather than through it. Rosemary demands full sun, at least 8 hours of direct light daily. Well-drained soil is mandatory. Heavy clay kills rosemary within 1 season. Plant in gritty, sandy soil, or use containers filled with cactus mix blended with standard potting soil. Hardy in USDA zones 7 through 10 as a perennial. In zones 5 and 6, grow it in portable containers that move into a garage or unheated porch over winter. For outdoor seating protection, a single mature rosemary shrub at each corner of a patio creates an effective scent perimeter. Prune to the desired shape in early spring before new growth emerges. Rosemary also works well trained against a sunny, south-facing wall. The common mistake is treating rosemary like basil or parsley. Rosemary does not want rich soil, frequent water, or fertilizer. Over-pampered rosemary becomes leggy, weak, and produces less aromatic oil. Neglect is actually part of the care routine. Pro tip: toss fresh rosemary stems into a charcoal grill or wood fire about 2 minutes before guests arrive. The smoke smells excellent on food, repels mosquitoes from the entire yard, and lasts roughly 45 minutes per handful. Number 8. Ageratum, also called floss flower. Botanical name Ageratum houstonianum, recognized by clusters of fuzzy powder blue, lavender, pink, or white flowers that look like miniature bottle brushes held above heart-shaped leaves. Ageratum contains coumarin, the same compound that gives fresh-cut hay its sweet smell. The University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, known as UFIFAS, documents coumarin as a known mosquito repellent. The compound is found throughout the plant, but concentrated in the flower heads. Coumarin has been referenced in mosquito control research dating back to the 1940s. Coumarin irritates mosquito respiratory and olfactory tissues on contact with the vapor. Unlike repellents that work on receptor confusion, coumarin creates an actual physical discomfort response. Mosquitoes exposed to the vapor actively reverse course, which is a stronger avoidance behavior than simple disorientation. Here is what makes Ageratum different from every other plant on this list. Ageratum tolerates partial shade. Most mosquito-repelling plants require full sun, which excludes shaded patios, north-facing porches, and areas under tree canopy. Ageratum thrives in 4 to 6 hours of filtered light, making it the only option for shaded outdoor spaces. Plant in rich, moist soil, spacing individual plants about 8 inches apart. Blooms continuously from late spring through first frost. Hardy as an annual across USDA zones 2 through 11. For shaded porch protection, plant Ageratum in window boxes or containers at eye level, where the scent sits in the dead air of a covered porch. The biggest mistake is letting Ageratum dry out. The plant wilts dramatically when thirsty and recovers slowly. Check soil moisture every other day during summer. Container plantings need daily water during heat waves. Pro tip: Ageratum is toxic if ingested by pets or livestock. Plant it only in hanging baskets or raised containers if dogs or cats roam the yard. The scent repels mosquitoes without the plant needing to be touched or disturbed, which makes it an excellent passive defense option. Number 7. Scented Geranium, sold commercially as citrosa, or the mosquito plant. Botanical name Pelargonium citrosum, a hybrid derived from Pelargonium graveolens. Recognized by deeply lobed, soft leaves that release a strong citronella-like scent when brushed. Scented geranium contains citronellol, geraniol, and linalool in varying concentrations depending on the cultivar. Important honesty note: a 1996 University of Guelph study tested the commercial Citrosa cultivar against live mosquitoes and found the effect was smaller than marketing claims suggested. However, subsequent research has confirmed that when the leaves are actively crushed or rubbed, the released oil provides significant short-term repellent effect. Citronellol and geraniol both interfere with mosquito olfactory receptors. Unlike Citronella Grass, which releases scent continuously, scented geranium stores most of its repellent oil inside the leaf cells. The oil is only released when cells rupture from crushing, bruising, or strong wind. This is why simply having the plant nearby provides weaker repellent effect than having a plant that is actively disturbed. Plant scented geranium in full sun, in well-drained soil, and water moderately. Too much water dilutes the oil concentration in the leaves. Hardy only in USDA zones 9 through 11 as a perennial. Elsewhere, grow as an annual or overwinter indoors on a sunny windowsill. For outdoor protection, place containers within arm's reach of seating areas so the leaves can be brushed or bruised by hand when needed. A 12-inch pot supports one mature plant that stays productive for about 2 full summer seasons. Pinch the growing tips monthly to encourage bushier growth and more foliage to harvest. The common mistake is expecting the plant to repel mosquitoes just by sitting in a pot. Passive placement does very little. The plant requires active interaction, crushing, rubbing, or heavy pruning. Garden centers marketing it as the mosquito plant often omit this detail. Pro tip: rub 3 or 4 leaves between palms, then pat onto wrists and ankles where veins run close to the skin. This is where mosquitoes locate heat signatures. The scent lasts roughly 30 minutes before needing reapplication. Number 6. Basil. Botanical name Ocimum basilicum, with multiple varieties used for repellent purposes, including sweet basil, lemon basil, and Thai basil. Bright green, tender leaves with a distinctive sharp, slightly peppery scent. Basil contains eugenol, methyl shavicol, and linalool. A 2011 study published in Malaria Journal evaluated essential oil from Ocimum basilicum against Aedes aegypti mosquitoes and documented repellent activity. Lemon basil, a variety called Ocimum citriadorum, tested strongest due to higher citral content. The compounds are stored in oil glands on the leaf surface and released steadily in warm, humid conditions, which are exactly the conditions mosquitoes prefer. Eugenol and linalool affect mosquito neural pathways, disrupting both their ability to detect hosts and their ability to land successfully. Basil produces enough scent passively that the plant does not require crushing to work. On a hot, humid afternoon, a patch of basil creates a measurable scent plume in the surrounding air that reduces mosquito activity. Basil needs full sun and rich, moist, well-drained soil. Plant after the last frost when nighttime temperatures stay above 50 degrees Fahrenheit consistently. Basil hates cold feet. Space individual plants about 12 inches apart. Grow in containers near outdoor kitchens, herb gardens, or dining areas. Basil works double duty as culinary and repellent. Pinch the growing tips weekly to prevent flowering, which dramatically reduces oil production. A single 10-inch pot holds 3 basil plants, enough to scent roughly 25 square feet of outdoor space. Pair basil with tomatoes in containers to benefit both. Basil repels tomato hornworms and mosquitoes simultaneously, while tomatoes provide light shade for basil during peak summer heat. The mistake is letting basil flower. Once flowers form, the plant redirects energy into seed production, and the leaves lose flavor and repellent oil. Pinch flower buds the moment they appear. A constant pinching schedule keeps basil productive from June through September in most zones. Pro tip: bruise a handful of basil leaves and float them in a shallow dish of water near dining areas. The slow evaporation releases scent over 2 to 3 hours and refreshes the air around the table. Number 5. Bee Balm, also called wild bergamot or monarda. Botanical name Monarda diadema for the red cultivar and Monarda fistulosa for the lavender native. Tall, showy plants with spiky tubular flowers that attract bees and hummingbirds while repelling mosquitoes. Bee Balm contains thymol and carvacrol, the same compounds that make thyme and oregano effective insect deterrents. The United States Department of Agriculture documents Monarda species among native plants with insect repellent properties. Thymol is listed by the Environmental Protection Agency on the Minimum Risk Pesticide Register, confirming both safety for human use and effectiveness against several pest insects, including mosquitoes and ticks. Thymol disrupts mosquito chemoreception, the sense they use to locate living hosts. Carvacrol adds a contact repellent effect, meaning mosquitoes that land briefly on the plant or nearby surfaces quickly fly off. The combination creates both an approach barrier and a landing deterrent, a stronger double defense than single compound plants offer. Bee Balm is a hardy North American perennial. Plant in full sun to partial shade in rich, moist soil. Native to the eastern United States and Canada, it thrives in USDA zones 3 through 9. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart to allow air circulation, which prevents powdery mildew, a common bee balm issue. Use bee balm as a backyard perimeter planting rather than a patio container plant. Bee balm grows tall, 2 to 4 feet at maturity, and prefers garden beds. For mosquito protection, plant a row along the edge of lawn areas where mosquitoes emerge from shrubbery. The tall spikes create a visual and olfactory barrier at the height where mosquitoes typically patrol. The frequent mistake is planting bee balm in dry soil. Despite its toughness, bee balm wilts and produces less oil in drought. Mulch heavily in late spring to hold moisture through summer, and water deeply once per week during heat waves. Pro tip: cut a bouquet of flowering bee balm and bring it indoors. The scent repels indoor mosquitoes and gnats for about 48 hours before the bouquet needs replacement. Number 4. Lavender. Botanical name: Lavandula angustifolia, the classic English lavender variety. Recognized by silver gray narrow leaves and purple flower spikes carried on long stems above the foliage. One of the most familiar and widely grown plants on this list. Lavender contains linalool, camphor, and borneol. Florida A&M University research documents lavender among essential oil sources with significant mosquito repellent activity. Linalool is the dominant active compound, stored in the purple flower heads in much higher concentration than in the leaves. The compounds remain active in dried lavender for about 6 months, which is why lavender sachets continue repelling moths and other insects long after being picked. Linalool confuses mosquito olfactory receptors and has been demonstrated in laboratory studies to reduce mosquito biting activity even at low concentrations. Camphor adds a direct deterrent effect, triggering avoidance behavior in adult mosquitoes. Together, the two compounds create a scent barrier that extends several feet from a mature lavender plant. Lavender wants full sun, minimum 8 hours daily, and well-drained, gritty, slightly alkaline soil. Lavender is a desert edge plant. Heavy clay or wet winter soil kills it faster than any other factor. Plant in raised beds or amend garden soil heavily with coarse sand and gravel. Space plants 18 inches apart. Hardy as a perennial in USDA zones 5 through 9. Lavender survives winter in most of the continental United States. For outdoor seating protection, plant lavender along walkways so legs brush the foliage with each passage, releasing scent into the surrounding air. Prune by 1/3 in late summer after flowers fade to encourage compact growth for the following season. Never cut into the woody base of the plant, which will not regenerate new growth. The common mistake is mulching lavender with bark or wood chips. Organic mulch holds moisture against the stem and rots the crown. Use pea gravel or decomposed granite instead, which keeps the base dry. Pro tip: harvest flower spikes just before full bloom, when essential oil content peaks. Hang in bundles to dry, then place sachets in outdoor seating cushions for passive mosquito repelling all summer. Number 3. Lemongrass. Botanical name: Cymbopogon citratus. A tall, clumping tropical grass with slender arching blades up to 4 feet tall, and a sharp, clean lemon scent that intensifies with handling. Lemongrass contains citronellol, citral, and geraniol, the same family of compounds that give commercial citronella candles their effect. The Environmental Protection Agency lists lemongrass oil on its minimum risk pesticide register, exempt from federal pesticide registration due to documented safety and efficacy. The World Health Organization references lemongrass oil among traditional repellents studied for malaria prevention. The oil is concentrated in the base of the blades and the outer leaf sheath. Citronellol overwhelms mosquito olfactory receptors, masking the carbon dioxide and body heat signals that would normally guide a female mosquito to a host. Citral adds a second mechanism: actual irritation of the mosquito's chemoreceptor pores, causing an avoidance reflex. The combination works on Aedes and Culex species, the two most common mosquito groups in residential yards. Lemongrass thrives in full sun and rich, moist soil with good drainage. It is a tender perennial, hardy only in USDA zones 9 and warmer. In zones 8 and below, grow lemongrass as an annual in large containers that move indoors for winter. A single mature clump reaches 3 to 4 feet tall and equally wide, providing substantial repellent coverage. Plant in prominent spots along walkways, patios, and pool areas. The tall, arching blades look dramatic and brush against passing legs, releasing the scent. Container growing requires at least a 14-inch pot to support root mass. Water when the top inch of soil dries out. Feed lightly with balanced fertilizer every 4 to 6 weeks during active growth. The biggest mistake is treating lemongrass like ornamental grass. It needs more water and richer soil than decorative grasses. Underwatered lemongrass turns pale and produces less oil, making it less effective as a repellent. Pro tip: cut a few outer blades, crush them between the hands, and drop them into a fire pit or grill coals. The smoke repels mosquitoes across a much wider radius than the plant alone, lasting about an hour. Number 2. Citronella grass, also called true citronella or nardus grass. Botanical name: Cymbopogon nardus. Closely related to lemongrass, but distinct in chemistry, and far more powerful as a mosquito repellent. Tall, blue-green clumping grass with a stronger, more pungent scent than lemongrass. This is the original citronella, the source of the oil used in candles, torches, and commercial sprays. Citronella grass contains citronellol, citronellol, and geraniol in significantly higher concentration than lemongrass. The Environmental Protection Agency registers citronella oil among the longest documented insect repellents, first listed in 1948. Critical point: the commercial scented geranium sold as a mosquito plant is not citronella. True citronella comes only from Cymbopogon nardus and its close relative, Cymbopogon winterianus. Citronella oil works through two simultaneous pathways. It masks the scent of human skin, blocking the scent trail mosquitoes follow, and it releases a vapor that irritates mosquito respiratory tissue at close range. Laboratory studies document repellent activity against Aedes aegypti, Culex quinquefasciatus, and Anopheles mosquito species, covering the most common disease vectors. Citronella grass demands full sun and loose, fertile soil with good drainage. It is a tropical perennial, hardy only in USDA zones 10 and 11. In cooler zones, grow as an annual in containers at least 16 inches wide. A mature citronella clump reaches 5 to 6 feet tall, making it an impressive specimen plant as well as a repellent. For outdoor dining areas, place 2 to 3 containers at the corners of a patio to create a scent perimeter. Water deeply once or twice per week, allowing the soil to nearly dry between sessions. Fertilize monthly during summer with a balanced organic feed. The fundamental mistake is buying a plant labeled citronella at a big box store without checking the botanical name. Most products sold as citronella plant are Pelargonium citrosum, the scented geranium, which is far weaker. True citronella grass must say Cymbopogon nardus on the label. Pro tip: snap off an outer blade and knot it around an ankle during outdoor work. The continuous crushing releases oil directly at mosquito strike level and keeps ankles covered for roughly 2 hours. Number 1. Catnip. Botanical name: Nepeta cataria. The plant famous for attracting domestic cats also happens to be the most scientifically documented mosquito repellent on this list. Square stems, heart-shaped gray-green leaves, and small white flowers tinged with purple spots. The active compound is nepetalactone, stored in the leaves and stems. In August 2001, researchers Chris Peterson and Joel Coates at Iowa State University presented findings at the American Chemical Society National Meeting showing that nepetalactone repelled Aedes aegypti mosquitoes approximately 10 times more effectively than DEET, the active ingredient in most commercial repellents, at equal concentrations in laboratory testing. This finding has been cited repeatedly in subsequent university extension publications and remains the strongest mosquito repellent evidence for any commonly grown plant. Nepetalactone activates a specific mosquito irritant receptor called TRPA1, the same receptor triggered by mustard oil and wasabi in human pain perception. Unlike DEET, which masks human scent, nepetalactone actively irritates the mosquito, causing immediate avoidance behavior. Mosquitoes do not simply fail to find the host, they actively flee the scent zone. Catnip is hardy, easy, and adaptable. Plant in full sun to partial shade, in average garden soil with decent drainage. Perennial in USDA zones 3 through 9, making it one of the most cold-tolerant repellent plants available. A single catnip plant reaches 2 to 3 feet tall and wide at maturity. Plant a row along fence lines, property edges, and the perimeter of outdoor seating areas. Catnip spreads readily from seed and root runners, so plant in contained areas if spreading is a concern. Cut back by half in midsummer to encourage a second flush of fresh, oil-rich foliage through fall. The obvious mistake is planting catnip in a yard with roaming cats. Cats seek out the plant, roll on it, chew it, and will flatten a young planting within days. Protect new catnip plants with a wire cage for the first season, until the root system establishes enough to recover from feline attention. Pro tip: harvest catnip stems just before flowering and hang upside down to dry. The dried leaves retain nepetalactone for about 6 months. Stuff dried leaves into small cotton bags and place under outdoor cushions for continuous, passive repellent effect. 12 plants, 12 mosquito-repelling strategies, all backed by peer-reviewed research or university extension documentation. Pick 3 for the yard this spring, 1 for full sun, 1 for partial shade, and 1 container specimen near the main seating area. Layering different compounds creates stronger protection than any single plant alone. Next in this series, plants that repel cockroaches from the kitchen, including 2 that also deter ants and spiders. The link appears on screen now. If this list helped, a thumbs up signals the algorithm to recommend the channel to more gardeners. Comment below, which plant is already growing in the yard, and which one is the first to add this season?